Hello everyone, Jonathan Ralph here. Today we're going through a full overview of the Portugal Golden Visa as it currently stands at the time of recording here in autumn 2024, and that's fall 2024 for our American friends watching. Portugal's Golden Visa is Europe's #1 route to a second citizenship without having to move and change your tax residency. And in today's video, we will run through everything that you need to know before getting started with your own journey. So, what is in store for us today? Well, we're going to focus on the high-level summary today, although there are other supporting videos on this channel that I'll refer you to for a deeper dive into certain points. We'll get started today with an overview on the Portugal Golden Visa itself, what it is, why it is so popular with those looking for a second passport and dual nationality, and explain how it differs from the alternatives that are available in Europe. Once we've compared Portugal to the other EU nations, we'll then look at the Golden Visa versus the other visa options that exist for Portugal and analyse whether the Golden Visa is indeed the right route for you. We'll then dive into practicalities. So firstly, the process to expect for the Golden Visa, and then the process to expect when achieving citizenship later on. Now, in my experience, most people embarking upon the Portugal Golden Visa are doing so in order to access the citizenship. So we'll also spend a moment talking through the implications of Portuguese citizenship and the benefits and additional options that it brings you. Now, by this point in the presentation, we'll know if Portugal is right for you, we'll know if the Golden Visa is right for you, and we'll also know if dual citizenship should be your ultimate goal. We'll then move on to the final detail of the piece, which is the investment that underpins the Golden Visa itself. We'll break this section down into two distinct parts. So firstly, we'll start by going through the rules governing qualifying investments, and then we'll talk briefly about the key considerations when it comes to selecting the right investment for you. By the end of today's video, therefore, you should have a strong understanding of Portugal's Golden Visa, the possibilities that it brings you, and how to access it in the right way for you and your family's future. Before we get started though, let me quickly introduce myself. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jonathan Ralph. I'm a partner at Holborn Assets. We are one of the leading expat wealth management firms in the world. We believe that we are the largest expat-focused financial planning firm currently in operation, and we've been going since 1998, and I still can't quite believe that that is 26 years ago. We look after more than 20,000 clients across more than 100 different countries worldwide, and even though the majority of our work is done online these days, we do also provide services out of more than 20 different physical offices around the world. We have hundreds of highly qualified wealth management professionals on staff, and that includes myself, and we are the #1 Golden Visa agent working in Portugal today based on volume. Our team has processed over 1,000 Golden Visa applications with a 100% success rate, and we are rated excellent on Trustpilot, so feel free to head on over there, check out the reviews from real clients to learn more about us. You can also do a dedicated search on my name on there if you'd like to find out a little bit more about me. As I mentioned, I'm a partner for the Western Mediterranean region, which means that I divide my time up essentially between Portugal, where I am today, right here in Lisbon, and Spain. Now, my wonderful team and I have helped an awful lot of people to secure their Portuguese residency at this point. You won't see them on this channel, but our guys working behind the scenes are quite frankly the best in the business, and simply put, that is why we've been able to help as many people as we have to date. Now, my email address is on the screen there. If you're interested in potentially working with us, becoming another success story, jonathan.ralph@holbornassets.com. And if you scan the QR code that's also on your screen there, you'll also be able to book in a meeting with me to discuss your objectives for a Golden Visa or second citizenship. The link is also in the description box down below my head and also in the comments section as well. So feel free to use that if ever you'd like a chat. Okay, so diving straight into the Portugal Golden Visa now. So, the Golden Visa was launched in 2012 and has since proven extremely popular as it is the most accessible route to obtaining a European passport remotely, for reasons I will go on to explain in a few moments' time. It is an investment visa wherein you receive a residence permit in Portugal in return for a substantial investment. Now, that is usually 500,000 euros, although that may differ, and that is an investment into Portugal. That being said, there are potentially ways to reduce that capital requirement if you are able to structure the investment in an intelligent way. The Golden Visa is a very popular scheme, as I've already alluded to. It's attracted over 10,000 applications since inception, which is just under 30,000 people, and just under 3,000 Golden Visas were issued in 2023. Now, of course, we don't yet know the 2024 numbers, but the annual case numbers are increasing pretty much every year, and this is a trend that is set to continue, even in spite of semi-regular changes to the law. Now, you can include almost all of your immediate family on the application, so essentially that means parents, dependent children, but generally speaking, siblings cannot be included. Now, our team and I are here to help advise you if you are unsure about the eligibility of your family members. Do note, however, that you must have a clean criminal record to apply. That applies to all applicants. This is now a proven and legally viable way to citizenship, even without living in Portugal, as I've mentioned, as citizenships are now being granted to Golden Visa holders that meet the requirements. And finally, you may already be aware of some changes that have been taking place over the course of the past year or so, but it is important to highlight that the Golden Visa in Portugal remains open. Now, neighbouring Spain has scrapped its Golden Visa, and many similar programs across the European Union are coming under increased scrutiny and political pressure from the European Commission in Brussels. So we cannot say with absolute certainty just how long this program will continue to exist. But for now, the Portugal Golden Visa does remain open to new applicants for the foreseeable future. You'll be interested to know that my team here has managed over 10% of all Portuguese Golden Visas ever issued. So we really have seen it all here and navigated all the previous amendments to the program with our successful track record intact. So rest assured, if you do decide to work with us, you are working with an expert and a tried, tested, proven market leader. Okay, so why is the Portugal Golden Visa so popular? As I keep saying, it is extremely popular. Europe's #1 residency program, residency by investment program, I should say, and for good reason. Now, it is the only reliable pathway to becoming a citizen of the European Union without becoming a tax resident and without sacrificing huge amounts of money to achieve it. You only need to stay in Portugal for an average of 7 days per year to qualify for citizenship by naturalisation. And it's an investment too, of course, meaning that you can also get returns on your investment as well as the passport if you do it right. So it is therefore no wonder that the world's wealthier individuals are adding a Portugal Golden Visa investment to their portfolio, quite simply because it is not just their ticket to outstanding, much improved global mobility, but it's also a part of their wealth generation strategy. Portugal, of course, is a relatively safe place to invest, being a developed Western European nation with a stable political system, and full citizenship, as I've mentioned, is available to Golden Visa investors, provided they hold their investment for 5 years and meet the requirements. Now, that essentially means meeting the average physical stay requirement of 7 days per year, being an upstanding individual with no criminal record, and achieving a fairly basic level of Portuguese, which is demonstrated through a language test. Now, interestingly, the level of language that you need to learn is actually relatively low compared to the other European options. It is A2 level, which is essentially considered to be advanced beginner, so it's very achievable. That said, if that poses a problem for you, you can also be exempted from the language test if you attend a language course of sufficient length and intensity. Now, the language requirement, by the way, is an individual requirement, so everyone that wishes to progress from Golden Visa to citizenship will need to pass this test or at least attend that language course. But equally, if one of the family members does not meet this requirement, it will not hinder or encumber the rest of the family's applications in any way. Okay, so why is Portuguese citizenship now such an important objective for so many people? Well, if you're watching this video, then it might be because you're already well aware, but let's spend a moment to quickly recap the fundamentals. Firstly, Portugal offers dual citizenship. Now, this is not always the case in Europe. For example, Spain would make you renounce your current citizenship when it's giving you Spanish nationality. Portugal, on the other hand, allows you to be a dual national. Portuguese passport also conveys a great deal of freedom onto its holder. It allows you to live, work, study, retire, even open a business in any one of 27 countries across the European Union, not just Portugal, and of course all that visa-free with no restrictions. It also gives you visa-free travel to more than 180 countries around the world. Now, importantly, getting Portuguese citizenship does not change your tax position in any way. You will only have tax obligations in Portugal on your Portuguese assets and income. Your worldwide income and assets will not be taxed by Portugal unless you become a tax resident here. Now, the issue of tax residency is a complicated topic. It is quite nuanced, but to distill that down to layman's terms, that usually just means living here. As I say, there are nuances to explore, but as a general rule, that holds true. Now, a Portuguese citizenship is also a frankly fantastic gift for your family, as it can be passed down for future generations to come, giving them all the freedoms that we just outlined. It really is a fantastic investment, not just into your quality of life, but also the quality of life of your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and beyond, leaving a truly fantastic legacy for all future generations to come. Now, bear in mind that everything that we have just spoken about in terms of benefits is the case for all European citizenships. All passports issued by the countries of the flags that you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen there will convey these same benefits to their holders. Portugal just happens to be one of the most accessible, given the favourable terms offered by the Golden Visa, and that you do not have to live here in Portugal to obtain it. So, therefore, if I tell you that it does not matter which European Union member state grants you the citizenship in order to access these benefits, it is only right and proper that you investigate the other European options that exist as alternatives to the Portugal Golden Visa. And if you're not familiar with the other countries offering EU residency by investment, you may wish to check out this video here, in which I break down the different options available and help you understand the most appropriate route for you. Now, remember, when you're targeting a citizenship, it is not just a conversation about where you want to be in the future. There are many more factors to consider. So, in the top right-hand side of your screen there, you can see a link to this comparison video. So take a look at that if you'd like to take a deeper dive. I'll also put a link to that video in the description box down below. To summarize though, why choose Portugal over the other options available for European residency? Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. It really does not matter which EU country gives you citizenship. If you get a European passport, you can live anywhere in the Schengen area with no restrictions. So, the question therefore to ask yourself when looking at an investment program is not where do I see myself living long term or where do I see as home, it's rather which program fits my lifestyle requirements. So, with that in mind, do not choose Portugal's Golden Visa because you love the scenery here, the stunning beaches, the relaxed culture, the delicious varied cuisine, the friendliness of the locals who incidentally are among some of the most friendly people, the most welcoming people that I've ever met personally, or the fact that Portugal is the third most peaceful country in the world, the 6th safest country in the world, or that has the 12th best healthcare system in the world, or that has the 16th best education system in the world. All of those lovely points, none of that really matters here. The real reason to choose Portugal's Golden Visa is that you can get full EU citizenship for you, for your entire family, and for future generations by making an investment that also generates good returns if done well. And that requires you to stay in the country for just 7 days per year on average for a period of 5 years. It really is that simple. Portugal is a truly, truly fabulous country. It really, really is. But this should be an investment decision. So make sure you're making it for the right reasons. Now, assuming that Portugal is indeed the right country for your objectives, then it's also important to understand the key differences between all of the visa types that exist. Now, there are 6 primary visa routes if you'd like to come to Portugal. For the purposes of today's session, we are going to ignore the working visa. So speak to your prospective employer if you're looking to come to Portugal for a work position that you've already identified. We will also ignore some very specialist visas like the HQA because niche cases like this are, quite frankly, not appropriate for the vast majority of the audience of this channel, the vast majority of you watching this So you can see the 5 main visa routes on your screen here. So the Golden Visa, I've separated that out. It's on one side. The others are the Startup Visa, the D2. Now, that is where you commit to starting a business, have an approved business plan in Portugal. The D6, the Family Reunification Visa, which is where you are married to a Portuguese resident or you are their dependent. The Passive Income Visa, the D7, which requires just over 8,000 euros in annual passive income. Now, that can be a pension, for example, and it must be paid to you from outside Portugal. And also the Digital Nomad Visa, the D8, which requires that you earn more than 36,000 euros per year from a non-Portuguese source. Now, what is the key distinction here? Why is this separated out into 2 different colours and 2 different sections on the screen? Well, the Golden Visa is the only visa that gives you a clear route to citizenship without committing to living in Portugal full-time for 5 years. The fees associated with the Golden Visa are higher than the other visa types, and you do need to tie up some capital for at least 5 years, but it is the only route that gives you citizenship and allows you to keep your current tax residency. The only one that gives you the flexibility to leave Portugal and live elsewhere during those 5 years as well. And as I mentioned, if it's done right, it can also deliver a decent profit on the funds that you invest. So, there's the question. Is the Golden Visa right for you in that case? Let's consider a couple of scenarios. Well, firstly, if you want to move to Portugal right now, and you can commit to staying here for at least the next 5 years, then the Golden Visa is, quite frankly, probably not for you. You may as well look at a cheaper alternative where you wouldn't need to invest any money to qualify, for example, the D7 or the D8. Those would usually be the alternatives that are selected in such a case. I would suggest getting started with those, looking at them first if this is indeed you. That said, if you cannot commit to becoming a Portuguese tax resident, i.e. spending at least 6 to 8 months per year here each year, then the Golden Visa could well be for you. You might even have zero intention of moving to Portugal at all and just want the easiest and cheapest way of getting a European passport and all the benefits that that brings. If that's true, then the Golden Visa could well also be for you. Equally, if you do not want to change your current tax residency, for example, you may live in a zero or low tax jurisdiction such as Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the Caribbean, for example, then the Golden Visa does offer you the path to citizenship without affecting your tax position, as I mentioned. Okay then, so assuming that Portugal is the right country, the Golden Visa is the right program for you, let's now take a look at the process required to obtain your Golden Visa. This is a top-line summary. There are more moving parts to this process, but you don't need to worry about that at this stage. That is what my team and I are here for, to ensure everything is professionally managed. Now, this is the process for you to obtain the Golden Visa residence permit. The whole thing will take around 12 to 18 months to achieve, although I do suggest planning for 18 months in the current context. As you can see, we do most of this from the comfort of your home. That would include the kickoff, which is where we would sign client agreements, establish your administrative presence in Portugal by getting your tax numbers, opening your bank account. We'll then ask you to send the funds to your Portuguese bank account to then complete the investment. And once that's done, we'll submit your Golden Visa application to the authorities for approval. Now, application submission. This is a key milestone because once your application has been submitted, you will then be in the system. You'll have been issued with what's called an ARI number. ARI is essentially the technical term for the Golden Visa. And once you have that, you will have grandfather rights into the scheme under current conditions if the law changes at any stage in the future. From here, it is then just a matter of time before we'll have everything sorted and have your residence cards issued. To do this, we'll first need to invite you to come to Portugal for the biometric appointment. Now, this is the first and only time in the entire process that we actually need you to be physically present here in Portugal. Once that's done, we will take care of the rest. And then thereafter, once the cards have been printed and issued, we'll have them couriered out to your home address, wherever you are in the world. But of course, getting the Golden Visa is usually only half the battle because, like I say, most of you watching will likely want to convert this to a citizenship later on. The first item to highlight here is Precedent. Citizenships have been granted to Golden Visa holders since 2018. This is not new ground that we are treading on. It is a demonstrably effective process. The requirements are 5 years of continuous legal residence, which essentially means making the Golden Visa investment and then retaining it for 5 years while staying in Portugal for an average of 1 week per year and demonstrating sufficient ties to Portugal as well. Now, as I've mentioned, this requires either passing a language test known as the CIPLA at A2 standard, which, as I mentioned, is advanced beginner, or attending a sufficient language course if exams happen to be a problem for you or anyone on the application. Now, note, a Golden Visa, once issued, is valid for a 2-year period. It must therefore be renewed periodically before we can apply for citizenship. And the renewal cost is in the region of €100 per person, in addition to a lawyer fee for processing the renewal. After the 5 years, and once we are ready to make the application for citizenship, we will then apply. A citizenship application usually takes anywhere from 6 to 24 months to go through. Therefore, it is reasonable to assume a total timeline to citizenship from the start of around 7 years. Okay, what does the road to citizenship actually look like in practice? Now, as I mentioned, the clock will start ticking on those 5 years from the date that we make the initial application. The investment is made from your Portuguese account, and we will get your Golden Visa case number, your ARI number, from the authorities. Now, as per the previous slide, we will then ask you to come to Portugal for biometrics, get the residence cards printed and couriered out to you. The cards will be valid for 2 years, and so after that time we will need to renew them. The renewed card will then be valid for another 2 years, and you need to meet the ongoing criteria to do so. Now, this is significant because this will bring us up to a total of 5 years, at which point we will be eligible to apply for citizenship. Now, please note, a second renewal may be required depending on the case in question. Remember as well that we can only apply for citizenship once you pass that CIPLA language test or attended sufficient language courses. Everyone that wants citizenship does need to pass this. You can take the test as many times as you like during the 5 years, even fail it as many times as you need to, but we do need to have that box ticked of either language test or attendance of a sufficient language test in order to process the citizenship application. Now, after the citizenship application has been approved and we have the passports in hand, it is at that moment that we should be looking to unwind the investment and return your capital to you, or follow whichever exit strategy we have designed together as part of the investment case. Speaking of the investment component, and that is the one major piece of the puzzle that we are yet to address. Before we dive into this, be advised that real estate investments no longer qualify for the Portugal Golden Visa in any form. Now, they did previously, but this was abolished back in 2023. So, the viable routes for the Golden Visa as it currently stands are the following. Firstly, job creation. Now, this involves creating and maintaining at least 10 permanent positions of employment in Portugal. This is therefore quite high risk and very hands-on, so it's not been a popular route up to now. Even less popular, however, is the research activities route. Now, this is because it entails an effective donation of €500,000 to scientific research institutions. Now, a donation of 500k is not usually smart financial planning. Next is another effective donation at half that price point, this time €250,000 into a cultural heritage initiative or into the arts. Again, a donation of that size is not usually a smart financial play given the high sunk cost. Options 4 and 5 tends to be where the majority of people look. So starting with option 4 here, which are investment funds. Now, these would require you to invest €500,000 into a non-real estate mutual fund that is regulated in Portugal via the CMVM, which is the Portuguese Securities Market Commission. And that fund must invest at least 60% of its capital into Portuguese listed securities. Now, this category carries a unique set of challenges and considerations for investors, but more on that in just a moment. Finally, number 5, corporate investment. Now, here you can invest €500,000 into a Portuguese company directly, and provided that the investment is used to create or maintain 5 permanent jobs, qualifies again for the Golden Visa. Now, both of these options, number 4 and 5, are proving immensely popular right now as they offer, frankly, more control over the investment and the ability to build cases with stronger returns, better managed risk profiles as well. So naturally, this is where we at Holborn tend to focus most of our attention. So, by now, you should be quite familiar with what the Golden Visa is, whether it's for you or not, and what the process looks like if you decide to move forward. So now it would be time to look at the details, and that first means understanding the investment options at your disposal. So a word to the wise here before you get started in the world of international investments. This can be a confusing, sometimes intimidating place for the inexperienced. There are many factors to consider before you commit to an investment. So what I've done is I've turned this into its own dedicated presentation so that we can give this subject justice, so we can do this subject justice. It's my own video, so I am a little bit biased here, but I do believe that this is essential viewing for anyone contemplating investing into a Portugal Golden Visa investment. In this video, we take a deep look at the key issue of risk, the types of investment available, how to make sure that you choose the right one for your circumstances, needs, and investor profile. Note, this video does focus on the investment fund route above all others, but the principles discussed do apply to other categories as well. Really, the reason I'm insisting on this is that the right decision here can really make the difference between a life-changingly positive experience or a poor decision that can really end up costing you financially. So do make sure that you understand all of the factors at play. Do yourself a favor, go and watch this video next. There's a link again in the top right-hand corner of your screen there, and I'll also put a link in the description box again, which is down below my head. Okay, and that's about it for today's presentation. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this session gave you the necessary grounding that you need to understand whether the Portugal Golden Visa fits into your family's life plan. If you'd like to know more, then I would invite you to book in for a free consultation with me and my team. We will look at your personal circumstances, run through the most suitable options in the market for your needs. As I mentioned, we are the #1 Portugal Golden Visa agent currently working based on volume, which means that we do have access to exclusive investments that are only available via my team. And we can also have access to preferential terms and conditions on other funds that are available in the wider market as well. So I would strongly advise speaking to us before you move forward with any investment. You might just be surprised at what we can do for you. Consultations are of course free, and you can book into my diary using the QR code that's on your screen there. The booking link is also in the comment section. Once again, all of that you can find down below my head. And if you're watching this on a mobile phone, you'll need to go down to the comment section to find that link. Now, there should be a video that is appearing in the white box to the right of my head. This video will take you through a practical investment case, and this will be our most popular currently available investment case. So, for an example of the type of work that we do on the investment side and how this is better than the other options available in the market, check that video, give it a look, give it a watch, see what you think. I like to think that you'll find it very interesting, but of course, you'll be the judge of that. As always, thank you very much for watching, joining me on this channel here today. I hope this was helpful to you. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get all the latest Portugal Golden Visa updates as they are issued. I do publish my updates on this channel first, so do click that subscribe button to stick around. And I wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you again. Bye for now. Take care.